It's time to start your life the way it is meant to be. There's only one time when it will be too late, and you don't want to wait for that. This is Now or Never. The choice is yours. Your host is Karen Wright. Today, you're about to meet some amazing people. The stories are not always happy ones, but they define a healing process. Listen with an open mind and an open heart. Now, here is Karen Wright.
Welcome, listeners. Today is March 23rd, 2022. I cannot believe we're into March. We're almost going to the first trimester of the season. It's like the whole year. It's crazy. The show title today is called Take Stock of Your Dreams. How much are your dreams worth? Are you willing to make investments in them? What are the threads or roadblocks to those dreams? Today, I will be talking with two high performers who know about dreams and going after them. Dr. Jen Faber is a life coach who helps people step into epic dreams they've been putting on hold. Stephanie Taylor is a successful real estate broker who helps her team and her clients find a path to their dreams. They'll talk about living the life you truly want and how to live in those dreams. So thank you, Jen and Steph, both of you, for being here with me. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you?
It's so good. Jen, tell everyone where you're located at and where you're coming from today.
Yeah, I'm in the heart of Park City, Utah, looking out at the melting snow and start of spring. So yeah, living the mountain life.
That's great. And Stephanie, what about you?
I live in Pleasant View, but my office is located in downtown Ogden. We're right there in the heart of the junction.
Yeah, both locals here in Utah. So these are my home girls here, right here in front of me, you guys. And it's so much fun. And here's a little thing. Just Stephanie Taylor is my broker from Real Estate Past Summit, and I've been working underneath Stephanie probably 4 years now.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And Stephanie's a powerhouse. I fell in love with her the first time I met her. And she is just an inspiration, has always been that inspiration for me. And so that's my little shout out to Stephanie. And Dr. Jen, I love her to death. She actually emailed me after she heard a couple of my shows. And she's like, hey, I want to be on your show. And I love the fact when my listeners are go-getters and come to me and say, hey, I've got a message I want to share. I want to share what I'm doing. So Dr. Jen, I appreciate you and taking the time to email me and being on the show today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I totally believe in ease and serendipity. So I'm really grateful to be here.
Thank you. Listeners, as we begin the show, you know how I enjoy just getting grounded. So I invite you to uncross your legs and undo your fingers and your hands. Just kind of relax a little bit. Always invite my guests to do the same thing. Closing your eyes and just taking a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Another deep breath in and out through your mouth. And now bring your hands up on your shoulders like you're giving yourself a big hug. In fact, give yourself a squeeze right now. And release. And repeat this affirmation. I am worthy of my love 3 times. I am worthy of my love. I am worthy of my love. I am worthy of my love. Take another deep breath in and releasing. And then taking your finger and tapping 3 times on your chest, repeating the word accept, 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 accept. Another deep breath in and release. Listeners, I hope you took the opportunity to take that time to be with us today, to be in the present moment, to be in the now. So important to be present and to give yourself the opportunity to take deep breaths every single day and to realize what's going on around you, where your thoughts are. And so if you did that with us, thank you. Hey, get out your sticky notes. This is one of my favorite times of my show, is doing my affirmations. And as you guys know, listeners, you know I love affirmations. I have them written on my wall, my mirrors. I can't even see my face because I have affirmations all over. Just daily reminders of who I am and what I am and how wonderful I am. And that's the joy of affirmations. I love them. As I read the affirmation out loud, I invite Stephanie and Jen to think about it and then share with the listeners what came to your thoughts when I read this card. Okay. And I'm always putting my guests on the spot. So I'm sorry, but I'm not.
It's fun.
It's a fun thing. So today's affirmation is, I see the Earth's consciousness at its highest level. I see the Earth's consciousness at its highest level. I see the Earth's consciousness at its highest level. Jen, when I read that, what came to your thought?
It's funny. The earth is a really forgiving thing. We are not kind to it or don't respect it a lot of the time, but it's always there. It's always present. That's why I love being in the mountains so much, because I feel humbled by their size and their magnitude. And I feel humbled to respect them. And it's interesting. I think if we could give ourselves the level of respect that this planet deserves when we feel connected with nature, then anything we've done to abuse ourselves, to hurt ourselves, any trauma or wounds we've carried, that high consciousness is always there. So that's what really stood out to me, that no matter what a planet or a person experiences, that level of consciousness and light is always there.
I appreciate those words, and it's so true. It is always there. That light is always there. The earth is always glowing if we just take the time to look at it and to see what's around us. Stephanie, what came to your thoughts?
It's funny because you said something would come to us and I was like, oh, I don't know if that's gonna happen for me. And I love what Jen said. I think that's amazing. For me, it struck me when you were reading that it's Women's History Month. And, that has to do with our world, right? That has to do with the things that we go through every day. I've always loved that my birthday is during that time, because as yucky as March can be in Utah, how beautiful is it that there's 3 powerful women sitting here right now, and that this is the month that we're able to, kind of take charge and, show why it is that we do what we do. And I'm grateful that we have the ability to do it.
I am too. And yes, everything works out for a reason. It's not on purpose. You two are on my show in March. There's a reason for it. And Steph's birthday's, my birthday's March too. We're like, woo, birthday girls.
It's so funny.
Yes, too. Are you serious, Dr. Jen?
Yeah, on the 4th. That's awesome.
Oh my heck. And
Very
Stephanie, when's yours again? I love it.
Yep. So right there at the beginning.
Yeah. And mine's the 19th. So I'm kind of Pisces Aries cusp. I'm kind of on the cusp, but it's okay.
Happy birthday, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. See, things just happen for a reason. It just serendipity, like Dr. Jen said, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate you both with your words of wisdom of what you just said there. And listeners, I hope you've written this down. I see the Earth's consciousness at its highest level, and take stock in that. Remember, the show title today is Take Stock of Your Dreams. The universe, the consciousness of it, will help you achieve those dreams if you trust in it. And I'm one with manifesting and putting out there what you want as an individual, and the universe will help you let it come true as long as you take action and do your part. And I'm a firm believer in all of that. As we step into this next segment here, I'm going to introduce Dr. Jen Faber. Jen is a high performance coach who helps people live into epic dreams they've been putting on hold. She left her thriving private practice because the fast pace and burnout was getting in the way of what she really wanted. Deep down, Jen realized there was a deeper mental and emotional blocks holding her back. So she went on a path to self-mastery, leaving behind everything she knew, including selling her possessions, to discover what she really wanted out of life. Jen, that's really powerful. Like I've read through this a couple times, and you know what? I believe we all hit roadblocks in our lives, and it's our time to step back and wake up. And the fact that you actually did something, like that rocks my world right there. That's amazing to me. Tell me a little bit how that came to be, because we're going to go a little bit deep here. In my shows, I always like to go deep because a bio is just a bio. It's like the surface thing, but there's where onions, Shrek, we're onions. And I want Jen just to connecting with our listeners.
Yeah, I think I'll start at 30,000 feet, right?
Okay.
I found myself in this really interesting time in my 20s. I had the career, I had the success, the business, I was making good money, and I looked around and I was miserable. I had gained weight and I had toxic relationships, and my life was my work. And I had spent the past, you could say, 8 years between undergrad and doctorate school to get this doctorate and build this practice, And it was a very interesting thing when you realize, you look back over about a decade and you realize how you were falling in line of the decisions of who do you want to be and what do you want to do. And a lot of those decisions are oftentimes framed by other people's ideas of what's best for you and what you should do and what does it mean to be successful. And so I found myself in a spot where I was really good at what I do. I mean, even today, I'm a doctor in a sense, right? Because I'm always helping people break through what's holding them back. But I never wanted to be in a city. I never wanted to work 60 hours a week. I was this nomadic creature that loved to wander and explore. And I had no idea who she was, because I found myself on a path of wanting to prove myself to my parents, then prove myself to my peers, then prove myself to academic institutions, then prove myself to my bosses, and then to myself. I just didn't want it. Mm-hmm. So it was a really interesting wake-up call. And it's so much deeper than, oh, I think I want to change careers. I'm looking for a change in my life. Like, I was genuinely suffering, and my mind and body were telling me and showing me that I was suffering and not really living in alignment. So I feel like as we go deeper, the biggest thing for me is to recognize that people need to live in alignment with who they are. And rather than think, what do you want to do when you grow up? It's more about, who do you want to be and what makes you happy and how do you want to live? So how I got to that point is I got to just a tipping point of looking around and at myself in the mirror, realizing this isn't who Jen is. Who is Jen beneath proving herself? Who is Jen underneath the doctorate? Who is Jen underneath the desire for success? And inside was this girl who just wanted to explore and be free and see what this world was about. And so I knew that my story had to change by starting to dismantle everything that I knew, which meant selling the practice I'd worked for years to build. It meant leaving a city that I built a home in but didn't enjoy, and selling possessions and just clean slating it. So that's the essence of it. And I'm happy to go wherever you want to in that rabbit hole.
Yeah. So I love the fact that you brought forward my now or never, my book, Now or Never, Shine Baby Shine. Now is very important to me because I break it up into 3 parts: nothingness, oneness, and wholeness. The nothingness to me are those labels, those expectations, those roles that people have put upon us, environment have put upon us, and we have accepted them.
Mm-hmm.
And the oneness for me was coming into me. So you're break free, you're selling your possession, you figuring out that little girl inside of you. Who is she and what does she want to do?
Yeah.
And that's the thing I want to ask. How we all have situations where we're in the depths of hell. We are in the pits. And many of us can't get out. Many of us try and we slide back down. We have a couple minutes, like 3 minutes before we go into break, but I want to know for my listeners, Jen, what helped you move through that part of your life?
Yeah. I had to really look at what that looked like in another 10, 20, 30 years, right? So I first had to look at the physical. I was 26 and my body felt like it was in its 50s because of the physical work of being a chiropractor. You're constantly using your body. And I just felt like I was literally grinding down while gaining weight. Second, I had to look at relationships. I was in a strain of very toxic relationships with unavailable people where I had to get crumbs of love. And it was a just bottomless pit of self-loathing. And then I had to look at the work I was doing and it felt good, but nothing was making my heart sing. And I recognized in another 10, 20, 30 years, that was going to get dangerously comfortable, scarily comfortable. And my biggest fear in life is a life of complacency and settling and playing it safe. And I felt surrounded by it. I was looking at suits and status and people just trying to prove themselves. And I started to question how many of us are actually happy, because I knew I wasn't, and I was putting up this facade. So that tipping point and that shift really started that everything around me felt like it was crumbling. And I knew that it wouldn't be little mincy stuff. I knew I couldn't just read a book, or I couldn't just, move to a different city with the same career. I'm like, I have to get rid of all of it. So I got rid of people and the career and the possessions, like I said, but it took going to kind of the depths of hell, where I could have honestly lost a phenomenal partnership with the man I love and I'm still with today. I could have lost my health. I could have lost everything. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of suffering today, because it's scary to stare into those wounds as deeply and recognize you need to make a deep change, but you have to recognize, what does that pain look like if you carry it for the rest of your life? So that was my wake-up call. And I knew no one was going to create it for me. I'd have to create it for myself.
And that's the beauty of it. We have a choice. This whole show is about, you can get up or stay down, and the choice is yours. At the end of the day, you get to decide. This is your life, your journey, and you get to decide. And I love the fact that at 26, you were becoming aware and you took the time to look into it and realize. And you know what? Fear can hold us back, or fear can set you free. And to me, fear is the false evidence appearing real. Once you look into what you're fearful of, that fear to me is courageous and bravery. And what you've done, Jen, you've reinvented, you started a whole new life that is a well-being for you, something that has caused happiness, and you're surrounded by love people, and you allowed it to happen. Listeners, we're going to go into break, and when we come right back, we will ask Jen a couple more questions, and then we're going to introduce Stephanie Taylor. We'll be right back after this break.
All right, great job. All clear. Back in a couple minutes.
Hey, thank you. How did that feel?
Fun. It's exciting. It's fun, like not also seeing where the breaks are, because it's like, ooh, making sure to try to get the really clean point across. That was great.
Yeah.
Your energy is so great. It's like gorgeous and infectious. It's like, I love it. It's so fun.
Beautiful story, Jen. That's got to feel so overwhelming. And we have a few friends that have done that same thing, where they're like, you know what? We have everything we wanted, and we sold it out. And they are like on a, boat traveling the Caribbean and doing uncharted things. And just incredible. That's got to be so hard.
Well, I appreciate it. It was, it's also scary, like that's the thing, like it's all completely terrifying, but boy, that reward and just taking that leap, and it's totally leap of faith, but it's really more of a leap of truth. If maybe that's a little thing I could share that just kind of came to me. So yeah, and it doesn't have to even be like completely, overriding and completely changing everything, but it's just like, where are things out of alignment, and how can you get back on that path? Who are you underneath everything else, So yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, it's very
It is very cool. And Jen, I want to talk a little bit about your book too that you wrote.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if we'll do that in this next segment or at the towards the end, so people can contact you. We'll talk about the book, how to get how to find it, things like that. Yeah,
that's fine if it's later. Just let it flow. So
yeah, I just kind of like allow that. I just allow it to happen.
Just like a lot. I feel like it's like these shows could last for hours between us, all of us. So it's cool.
Sometimes the hour goes by like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even get through half the questions I wanted to.
We just started.
Yeah.
It's great. I love it.
Coming back in about 10 seconds.
Hey, thank you.
You are listening to Now or Never. The choice is yours. To connect with the program today, please call us at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is Karen@shinenowornever.com. Let's get back to this week's show. Here again is Karen Wright.
Listeners, welcome back to Now or Never. The choice is yours. And as always, thank you for making the choice and being with us today. The next segment of the show is sponsored by Donnie Ingram. Donnie is a coach, and he's written a bunch of books. One that has really stood out to me is called Lending with Purpose. And you can get that by following Donnie at donnieingram.com and look into his programs. He's a wonderful coach and mentor to many, many people, and he's got a story that is truly amazing. So Donnie, thank you for being a sponsor for this show. Before we went into break, we were talking with Jen Faber, and Jen has done a transformation to where she had her wake-up call and decided she wanted to make some changes. And she actually stepped into that, embracing it and seeing what direction it led her into. She was a chiropractor. She was a businesswoman. She was very successful. She was in a toxic relationship. Is that fair to say?
Very fair. Yeah.
Okay. And she decided it was time for her just to shed off that skin. I love snakes, right? I got a snake ring. I got my snake ring, you guys, finally. I've been looking since 2019. I finally found one this weekend for my birthday. Anyway, I love snakes because they remind us they shed their skin as they grow. And I love that about us as humans. We can do that. We can release what we want and be able to step forward into whatever we are creating at that time. And Jen, you've created this wonderful life now. What's the number one piece of advice that you would tell yourself, your younger self, as you're going through this?
I think, it's trusting those moments when things feel off. I can remember being our intuition's always there, and we're just not taught to listen to it. And we have to typically figure it out when we get older and wiser, and typically far too old and far too wise. So I found myself even in doctorate school, having these moments where I just felt this rub, this disconnect. And it's hard to put it to words, but we all know what that feels like, right? We think about a moment where something just feels wrong, whether it's like the hair stands up or there's a little wrenching feeling in your stomach. And I let my pride get in the way of that, because all I could think about was, if I left school now, I have invested all this money and all this time, and what would my parents think, and what would my peers think, and what would my friends think, and what would the school think, and what would that mean for the rest of my life? And I let the fear of shame and blame and pride supersede what my gut was saying. It was saying, girl, go this way, you're going the wrong way. And had I listened to her, there probably would have been a very different life where I would have explored far more, done far more, and lived far more. But I just missed that intuition. So that's the biggest piece of advice I would say is really right now, look at your life and just ask yourself, where is there this rub? Where is there this disconnect? And it doesn't mean you have to let go of it. It doesn't mean you have to completely clean the slate. I know my story is very much a clean slate story, but maybe it's just a question of how do I just get back on track? It doesn't have to be changing a different track. So there is a lot of shame and blame and guilt that we all carry throughout life, but you don't have to. So just like that higher consciousness with the earth, that intuition is right there. That's another way of higher consciousness speaking to us. Listen to it. Listen to that voice. It's going to get you back on track. And that means maybe pivoting you a different way or just getting you in a clearer direction.
I appreciate that. And we're all blessed with intuition. And it's the fact of being in tune and realizing that we each have a higher gift. I'm an empath. I can feel things. You can walk into a room and you can cut the room in half and feel the energy. I feel the energy from people. We each have these gifts, and it's honing in on them and realizing, you know what? Hey, I feel good about this, and being aware of it. Awareness to me is, right? And how it goes hand in hand. And I really appreciate you, Dr. Jen, sharing that information with us and sharing your thoughts with us for that, because it's very important that my listeners understand that they're not alone. No matter where they're at in life, we're continuing to evolving. Like you said, we're continuing to pivot, especially in the last from 2019-20 to today. Everyone's had to pivot and grow in new directions. It was interesting. I was talking to another guest a couple of months ago, and I'm like, okay, so we talk about pivoting. And in pivoting, I always think about a basketball player pivoting around in circles and circles. I go, okay, I pivot and I'm on this circle. I feel like a squirrel just going, and we're laughing about it. And she goes, think of pivoting upward instead of a circle. And I was like, okay, thank you. That's all I need to hear. And so when you think of pivot, think of pivoting upward, moving upward or forward, pivoting forward instead of a circle like you do in basketball. Because I was like, I'm just going in circles here, people. This is not good.
I'm getting nowhere.
I'm getting nowhere. It's not healthy here. Oh my goodness, listeners, I want to introduce Stephanie Taylor to me. I'm introducing her to you all. Oh my goodness. Stephanie, as I said earlier in the show, Stephanie has been an ultimate role model in my life. And I get so emotional because I love her just dearly and I respect her so much. She, when I went through my divorce in 2014, I entered the world in real estate. I was with a couple of different brokerages, learned a lot from them. And then I met Stephanie and I fell in love with her as a human, as someone who is just a powerhouse in her industry and in her field. But not only that, as a person, as a mom, and as a daughter and a partner, she is the ultimate. And when I grow up, I want to be like her in so many ways.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Oh, and so everyone, Stephanie Taylor, she has grown up in a family of builders and contractors, and she has learned the business since she has been young. And she found her passion. She found her purpose, and her purpose became her passion. Not only is she an intellect and she wants to know the facts. We talked about this before the show. She wants to know the facts. She wants to know XYZ. And that's why she's so good at what she does. But she also is very caring and loving. And she supports, she's our president of the association, and she supports thousands of realtors with what she does. And she cares about each individual. And so everyone, round of applause. Sorry, Jen, I'm going off with her because I'm just like in love with her, but everyone welcome Stephanie Taylor.
That is so sweet of you, Karen. I think you can see me in that light because you have that light, but it is so very appreciated. It's funny because you bring up my passion, and what's funny about the way I was raised and coming from Utah and a very conservative household and the way I was raised, it's kind of funny because I was raised by a home builder who all of his brothers were home builders. His one sister out of the 7 kids worked for their father, who was also a home builder. And it's like our whole world revolved around, me staking out job sites as a child or, whatever it may be. And it was so funny because being raised in that environment, I have 2 older sisters and then a younger brother that's much younger. And my dad would always say to me, I don't have to worry about you because you're a pretty one. And I was always treated like, well, you don't have to be successful because you'll grow up one day and someone will take care of you. And I think that it created a fire in me from such a young age that I remember thinking, I will never, ever, ever have someone take care of me. Because it was put that pressure on me that would be my existence. And not that that's a bad thing. In my world, I was like, oh my gosh. And so I was bound and determined never to go into real estate. I was like, I'm going to do something in the medical field. I started to, go to school to get a degree in psychology. And then I got my license and I thought I need to help my dad out with a few things. And all of a sudden I found myself building a career in something I never thought I would do. And just to prove a point to my parents, I'm sure, I became successful in it and I worked so hard. And I had somebody say to me really early on, I had children really early on, I started a career early on. And he said, if you were going to be the youngest person in the room, you have to be the smartest because everyone will discount you. And I worked my butt off. I just thought, okay, I will read every contract. I will find every fact. I will know what I'm talking about so that can never happen to me. And it was hard. It was hard. It was a lot of grind. And like Jen said, there was so much pressure coming from the world of what you're supposed to do, who you're going to fail. Are you failing yourself, by doing it? And so, it's kind of impressive that I'm here now. But it was a long road of everything I never thought I would do. So.
And you said you had your kids young. You got married pretty young too, right? And then what happened? I'm going a little deep, kind of personal, but I think it's important for listeners to understand your role here.
Yeah, I mean, I got married very young. I actually got married when I was 17. I had a baby and, he's one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me. I was diagnosed when I was probably 13 or 14 years old with obsessive compulsive disorder. And I had a really hard time functioning. And so, oh my gosh, I'm crying.
It's okay. Now. It's okay.
Karen knows I don't cry. I don't have a lot of emotion. But it was a huge challenge because it kind of all how it happened came out of the middle of nowhere. And I thought I'm bound and determined to be the best spouse and the best, mom. And it really helped me excel in life, honestly, because I felt this need to show up in a way that I never thought I would do. I didn't actually want children, which I've said to my kids, so they know, so if they ever see this, but truly the greatest things that ever happened to me, because
yes.
I could not be the person that I am without all the stuff I had to go through. So
yeah. And then you got married young, and then when was it when you got divorced? Was it after your last baby?
Yeah, so we were married for 8 years. We had 2 kids. They are 5 years apart. And when my youngest was 3, we went through a divorce, and we have an amazing relationship. We were just with 2 kids, and babies shouldn't get married. It is like parenting 101. Don't be a child when you raise children. So right. Yeah, he is an incredible person. We have a great relationship raising our babies, and we do really well together. In that aspect, we just had no business being together. So.
Yeah, no, and I love the fact that you guys, you're each wonderful parents, and you've kept that communication and that openness together. And to me, that's, he's part of who you are today. He's helped you, and he's part of that. And I look at things where in our lives, you know, when we're going through things, it's kind of like, well, why now? Why me? What's going on? And sometimes it's not till after the fact we can look back and say, thank you, universe. Thank you for bringing that person into my life. Thank you for them being the hardcore, pompous assholes that they were, because I was one for 28 years and I freaking love him because he's made me who I am today and has helped me understand what I'm capable of doing. And kind of a little bit, Stephanie, like you said, you know, your dad's like, oh, you don't have to work or whatever, because you're going to be beautiful. You know, you're the world, the beautiful woman. You don't have to, people can take care of you. And that lit that fire inside of you. And it's interesting, Stephanie. I was talking to a friend today because I had some, you know, I've been divorced 8 years and this is kind of personal, but it's in a couple of relationships where I was cheated on and just found out this other guy I was with for 6 months just actually got married this month and I had no idea. It was like, bam, like that. And I'm like going, what am I supposed to learn here? These men were put in my lives for a reason. And I realized it was for me to understand. Stephanie, you said something that hit me right on the head, that you want to prove that you are capable of taking care of yourself. And for the last 8 years, I felt like I need to prove to myself, to the world, to my kids, I've taken care of myself. And I've done it. And now I have.
You have. I was going to say, I mean, you are successful and you've been a top producer multiple times over for years and done so much with your life. And so to go through everything that you've gone through and then be able to say, you know what, I'm going to show up anyway for me. And then if the rest of you like it, great. And if not, I'm okay. That's amazing.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was talking to my friend this morning. I said, you know what, my word for, I love words, right? So the word for this year, for 2022 is surrender, allow, and receive. So I'm learning that I can still surrender and allow people to take care of me. And it doesn't make me weak. And it almost, you know, I'm allowing it to happen. I'm surrendering because I'm realizing people want to take care of me. And I've kind of put up a wall to be like, I got this. I don't need your help. And so this has been, I'm relating this because this has been an aha moment, seriously, in the last 24 hours. And it feels so good just to express myself with you too, because I feel safe with both of you. And listeners, I hope you understand, it's like, this is life. We continue to evolve and to learn and to grow. And it's taken me 8 years to realize all of this, of where I'm at now, and that it's okay. It's like perfect. So that's my little aha moment, you guys.
Proud of you. That's hard.
I love it. I love it.
I'm like, okay, here we go. Okay, so Steph, you did something this last year that I was so excited for you. And you became the press. Tell everyone about that a little bit. We have like a minute, so it's a short, quick answer, but a minute going into our next break. What made you decide this was your next step?
My better half. I honestly, I was on the board of directors for years and I never thought that I would want to be the president of the association. And he was on a business trip one night and we're talking about, you know, it upcoming. And he said, why don't you? And I said, well, I don't know if I want to. And he said, but you'd be great at it. And I said, okay, well, I guess I'll give a speech tomorrow and we'll see what happens. And I did. And I was elected and I went, oh my gosh, I don't know if I want to do this. So that's how it happened. It was kind of silly. But.
Well, and I love him because he pushes you a little bit sometimes out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. And sometimes I want to be like, don't push me to do that just because of my nature. And then other times I'm like, oh, that's right. He's just supporting me. He's telling me it's okay.
You got this, girl. Like, seriously. And I love the fact that you just the next day did your little speech and it was off the charts. Ding, 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 Stephanie.
Never. I mean, I don't know. It must have been meant to be.
It was. And that's how we look at it, because you were up against wonderful people and all of them would have done an amazing job. And so kudos to everyone that ran. And I love this this business that we're in. Listeners, we're going to go into a break and we'll be right back with Stephanie Taylor and Dr. Jen. We'll be right back after this break.
Okay, great job. We're all clear. Back in about 2.
Hey, thank you. Steph, you did great.
Oh my God, that was amazing. Like so much heart.
Oh, thank you. That's
easy.
the most uncomfortable part for me to share. That's everything I said. So thanks for pulling that out of me. But
I think
so
that's
real.
It is. And this is what the show's about. It's about being real and empowering us.
yeah.
And that's empowering because you're helping other listeners when they listen to you, Steph and Jen, with both of you, what you've done, they're going to be like going, I can do this because Stephanie has done some hard things. Jen has done some hard things. And here we go.
Yeah. It's amazing how we all, I think, can have such similar things we deal with and don't talk about. Like my husband and I have just gotten to a place where our business is thriving. And I used to be so independent and I had to do my own thing. And yet it's been the most successful thing because it's like surrendering to that. Like we are taking care of each other. So like, God, I totally relate to what you were saying about just like building up the walls and no, I can do this myself. And then you realize when you let go, it's just easier. It's so much easier. So I appreciate you sharing that and can just relate to both of you on those levels for sure.
Well, thank you. I know it's been interesting. Like since August, I keep telling people I'm in this funk and I know I'm shifting again. I shift a lot, but I'm really like, I feel it like shifting and trying to know like the direction. I mean, I'm always in real estate because I love that, you know, but Stephanie knows I'm a Reiki master and I went and got yoga certified and I love the energy and I did this radio show and I wrote my book, you know, I'm just like all over the board and people are like, God, you keep busy. I'm like, not really. I mean, I don't have anyone to take care of but my 2 dogs. All my kids are grown. So I'm in a different stage in life, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, coming back in about 10 seconds.
Okay, thanks.
I think it's great though that you keep yourself busy because it's been hard. The world's been in a bad place. So
You are listening to Now or Never. The choice is yours. To connect with the program today, please call us at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is Karen@shinenowornever.com. Let's get back to this week's show. Here again is Karen Wright.
Listeners, welcome back to the show Now or Never. The choice is yours. And this next half of the show is sponsored by me, my book Now or Never, Shine Baby Shine, international bestseller. You can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, Target, and Walmart. And the exciting news that just happened last week, you guys, it's on Audible. You can listen to my story.
congratulations.
That's fantastic.
So cool.
Thank you. It's been, can I just say it's kind of surreal because I bought the Audible and I've been listening to it. I hired a professional to, you know, tell the story, read the story for me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is me. This is my life. And it's just, it's so freeing. During break, listeners, we were talking, you know, Stephanie's like, Karen, you touched my core. And I was emotional, but that to me is empowering. And that's what Stephanie said. It's like, it's very empowering just to be able to connect with the listeners. And I so much appreciate my guests when they're really opening up their hearts and stepping into this hour to share how they feel and to share the power that they are and their wisdom. And Stephanie has been an amazing broker. Stephanie, when did you become, you know, you were in real estate for a while and then what, in 2014, you became a broker. Is that right?
Yeah. So I think I spent the first 7 years of my career as an agent and the last 7 as a real estate broker. I opened up an office in downtown Ogden and it's grown. We have, I don't know, 70, 75 full-time agents. And
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, that is really amazing. And then you also have done on another side of it, have you ever done flips? with houses or anything like that because of the background, your contractor background. I say that because you lived it, you grew it, you breathed it. So you probably could build your own house because seriously, you could.
One day, and I'm sure it'll, be the breaking point for me. But we keep my dad busy in his retirement. It's kind of beautiful because my better half and I have a home building company. And so we are able to do flips and stuff like that, but we're also able to do some new construction stuff. And we keep my dad busy, just kind of working. He just had a birthday on March 3rd too. So, we shared birthdays within a week. And, he turned 69 and he's just, I'm old and tired, but he gets to work a little bit here and there doing what he wants and foremanning the jobs and using all of his decades of experience, kind of keeping everything going, which is really fun. We get to still work together after, all these decades. So.
I think that's great. And Dad, you're not old. 69, what the heck?
I know, that's what I tell him and he's like, I feel
No, you're a young whippersnapper. I'm just saying you have so much life ahead of you. And I love the fact that he's being active and mentally and physically, and he's engaging with things. Stephanie to me has been wonderful in a lot of her things. She's you do a lot of community work and you give back. Can you talk about maybe a couple of the ones you love?
Yeah. So one of my passions, and it does have to do with my business, but it's for a really good reason, is RPAC, and I donate money towards the Realtor Political Action Committee because of its ability to protect private property rights. There's so many values in the things that we do that would be so hard to quantify and explain. It could go on, but I get really involved in that committee and helping and donations and everything that I can do to kind of get the word out to people that, there's states, just to give you a small snippet, that charge a transfer tax, so just for you to be able to sell your home, which is just a basic human right of you owning real estate, you could end up paying 1% to 5% in a lot of states just to sell it, that you would just pay to the government, and then it funds random things that they want. That feels insane to me because in Utah we don't have any of that. Someone can go list their home on their own, or they could hire a professional like me, and they don't have to pay those fees because of the work that we do behind the scenes. So we do a lot of advocacy, talking with our people up on the Hill, meeting with the legislature, going to the Capitol every spring for an NAR conference. And we talk about some major issues and the things that are important, and working with our lobbyists here on a local level as well. And then helping our community. There's so many beautiful little things that you can do to help. Like the Christmas Tree Jubilee is one that I love. The Weaver School Foundation has all these little projects that help kids in so many different ways, that in ways that you can't even imagine. That is such a beautiful thing to give back to, because kids are struggling, and right now their focus is mental health, which, our world really, really needs a lot of love pushed back in it, because we've had everything so polarizing for so many years that, they do so much good. So I love to give to them. I love to do work on the RPAC level, but, that's just kind of a little bit of it. And then we make our kids go to, when they allowed us to make food, serve food at the homeless shelter every year. And we would do certain projects and stuff like that, so our kids knew how fortunate they were,
I think that's we've always done that too. We've always had our kids go and help serve during the holidays, or, donate things, and where they're actually there, they're hands-on, because to me, that's very important for them. And I love it because it's a complete circle. Life is all about Lion King, the circle of life is so true, right? And it's all about giving back. You receive and you're able to give back, and then you receive more and you can give back even more. And it's just helping other people. And that's what, to me, and I love that, the Earth's consciousness, that is going to just increase. The more we serve, the more we have gratitude, the more we help other people, it's going to help the entire world. And to me, that's very important. I joke, I don't joke, but when COVID hit, it's like the universe telling us we're all the same. Everybody was under the same restrictions. Everyone had the same rules. Not one country got off. We all were the same for a matter of hours or days. And I think how powerful that is. And in that moment, we were all feeling the same way. And I think how empowering it could be if for a moment, 30 seconds a day, we send love out as a world to our earth, to each other. And that frequency of consciousness, how that would rise and how we could really empower this earth.
There's such a collective energy to it all, right? I mean, I think that's where, like, sometimes with everything going on in the world and the news, like it's weighed us down in some ways. Like it's if we can choose to figure out what can we learn and how can we grow and put more peace and love and healing into the world, like that's really has to be the path, because there is such an energy to everything. And it's true, like it made us all stand on the same ground, and like we are all suffering, we are all dealing with stuff, we are all struggling. That's why, like, Stephanie, I loved how you were sharing more of your story, because it's like some of the work, like the work I love to do the most is when people are like, things are good, but there's just this stuff deeper down, that letting go of that weight, letting go of those things that really aren't us. They were things that maybe we were taught or we just have held on to. Man, if we could all just live on a higher level, if we can all just live like more into our truth and more into our light, like that also what gives us that much more power and momentum to give back and love others and look at others with compassion. And I think that's so important today too, because I just feel like there's divides everywhere. You know, you see differences in people, and I can see how some ways we're taught to see those differences as labels or judgments or disconnects. And instead, if we actually, I think, live more true to here, we can look at those differences and get curious and get excited and recognize we're all just humans trying to figure it out, you know, and I think that common bond is really important. So I love how that all ties into the affirmation state of the world today, and just conversations like this, right? I didn't know either of you. And here we are finding some common bonds and also very different life experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool. Like you can feel the connection just in that conversation, you know?
Yeah. And that's what I love about it. Before we close, we have just a couple minutes left. I would love each of you, Stephanie, to share your contact information, how people can get a hold of you. If you're in the Ogden area, you're looking for a realtor, if you want information, if you have questions, Stephanie is the one to help you out. So if I invite you to share, if that's okay.
Yeah, it is. My phone number is 801-814-7175. And my email address is stephsellsutah@gmail.com. And that is stephsellsutah@gmail.com. You are welcome to reach out to me anytime. Just let me know what it's from, and that way I can get back to you.
That sounds great. And Dr. Jen, you also, we didn't even get to touch base, but you have written a book, and I love it because it's about transformation, personal transformation.
Yeah, it's called The 90-Day Life, and it's all about how to accelerate the things you've been putting on hold. So it's a story of impermanence and discovering what you want to do, and really how to live in a way where it's not the fear of failure, but the fear of not trying. And so for people who want to get in touch with me, the simplest way to do that is go to 90daylifebook.com, and you can get access to the book there. But if you're a soul out there that feels like you're just dragging through some mud and you feel like you're not able to get rid of that deeper baggage you're holding on to, but no, there's something else, you can text my business number, 435-200-4752. Be happy to start the conversation and help you find your way.
I appreciate that. Before we close, I would love if each of you could give a word of advice to our listeners, something that they can write down and look at this week along with our affirmation. But what else would you be willing to share? Jen, we'll start with you.
Yeah. What I would say is this: when we listen to a show like this, a conversation like this, it stirs up emotions, it stirs up things, right? Things we want to change, things we want to do. And the thing that I would say is that this moment right now, as you're listening, it will never feel as raw. Like the emotions will never feel as real. It'll be so easy to go on and live out your day and then your week and then your month, and you could stay in that pivoting, right? Mm-hmm. But if you actually harness the emotions you feel today, that energy, that shift, that little wake up call, right? That little light bulb, take a moment after the show and ask yourself, what do I want to do with that? What's not working? Where am I settling? What do I want to change? use that emotional energy so the routine of life doesn't get the best of you, and then see how that feels to get in tune with that.
I love that. Thank you. Stephanie, what about you?
So, my advice would be to try and see the best in others. I know how hard that is right now with our world, but some pretty tragic stuff has happened in our family recently. And I was talking to a family member, and they're of course grieving. They have a lot of pain. And I said, what if we're wrong? What if we just look at that person with a little bit of compassion and wonder if they're just truly doing the best they can, and maybe they're just not executing it in a way that we see that? Or, what if we just give them compassion because that's what they also need, because they're also grieving? I think that we get so stuck in who's wrong or right in all of our, political thinking or pandemic thinking or whatever it might be. And I think sometimes we just lack the compassion to go, you know what, they're human. And that's all we need to know. We don't have to have somebody else see our side. We don't have to shove our opinions down someone else's throat. Maybe that's what I'm doing right now. But my hope is that people can just stop and go, you know what, I'm just going to show that person some love, because I think that's going to make far more difference than us spouting every hateful thing that we could possibly get out into the world. Our world doesn't need that. It just needs some love, and it needs some compassion.
Yes. Dr. Jen and Stephanie, thank you both for being on the show today. Listeners, remember our affirmation: I see the earth's consciousness at its highest level. The breath is a gift of life. Choose now and live. Remember, this world is not for sissies. We are each here to experience our own story as we each walk our personal journey. And thank you for choosing to be here now. Until next week, sending you all love and light.
All right, great job. We're all clear.
Okay, thank you. All right, girls, good job.
That was wonderful.
Great. Such
Jen,
a joy.
Jen, I am so impressed by your story. It sounds like you have gone through so much in such a short life. It's incredible.
Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate what you shared about your story. I can so relate to just like finding your way and staking a claim and being at peace with it all. So yeah, it's so awesome to connect, and so great knowing you're both there in Utah. It's very awesome.
I know. I'm like, lunchtime. Let's go. Let's go to Park City, Steph.
I
know. Down here, we're gonna go out to you.
Great, anytime.
That'd be great.
Tell you what, here's my cell. There, text me, we'll grab lunch.
Perfect.
Oh, that was an extra 3. Way too many 3s. Holy cow. What was that? 6403386. There. If the mood strikes, send me a text. So
perfect. I'm gonna.
That sounds good. Yes. No, and I appreciate you both. And I know Shannon sent you each the link to share out on social media and all your platforms, because that's just shouting out what we've talked about and even reaching your tribe, your platform of people, and hopefully having them reach out to you as individuals and to get the help and support that each of you have. So I appreciate that for both of you.
thank you. Thank you for just creating this path, Karen, like this platform and this show, so people like us can come on and share and impact the listeners out there. So yeah, I know. I appreciate it, and great to connect with you guys.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you, Jen. Thanks so much. And if you guys have any questions, you have my phone number, text me, email me. And yeah, thanks. Love you both.
Yeah.
Ladies, awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you again.
Okay.